Every single morning, before you even take your first sip of coffee, your body is already making a decision whether it will spend the day burning fat for energy or storing it. This isn't random. It's dictated by powerful internal signals that are part of your circadian rhythm, your body's 24-hour biological clock that controls everything from metabolism to hormones and inflammation. The moment you wake up, light exposure, meal timing, and even your first thoughts or actions send messages to your cells about what kind of day it will be: one of fat, burning efficiency, or one of sluggish, energy-storing survival. When we lived in harmony with nature, our bodies synchronized perfectly with the rising and setting of the sun. Morning light triggered cortisol, not the stress hormone it's often portrayed as, but a vital signal that wakes the brain, sharpens focus, and starts metabolism. But now, most people roll over, grab their phone, and stare into artificial blue light before stepping outside. We skip natural daylight, we skip breakfast or replace it with sugar-laden cereal and coffee, and we rush into stress before our biology is ready. This mismatch between modern behavior and our ancient circadian design throws our metabolism off balance, raising inflammation, spiking insulin, and switching the body from fat burning to fat storing mode. It's no wonder so many people struggle with stubborn belly fat, fatigue, and brain fog, even when they're eating clean or exercising. The problem often starts in those first few moments of the morning. But here's the good news: the body is remarkably adaptive. When you realign your mornings with your natural circadian rhythm, you reset your metabolism, calm inflammation, and unlock your innate ability to burn fat effortlessly. In this video, I'll reveal exactly how to do that. Your body is not guessing what time it is. Every cell in your body operates on an internal timing system known as the circadian rhythm, a deeply programmed biological rhythm that repeats every 24 hours. It's a system designed by evolution to anticipate the natural cycles of day and night. At the core of this rhythm is a small region in the brain called the hypothalamus, which houses the master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. This tiny cluster of nerve cells acts as the conductor of a vast orchestra, synchronizing the rhythms of all your organs and tissues so that your body functions with precision and efficiency. The SCN takes its cues from light. When natural light enters your eyes in the morning, it signals the brain that it's daytime time to wake up, release energy, and activate metabolism. This early light exposure triggers cortisol and other alertness hormones, raises body temperature, and tells your mitochondria, the energy factories in your cells, to switch on and start producing ATP, your body's energy currency. These morning signals coordinate digestion, glucose metabolism, and fat oxidation, setting the tone for how efficiently you'll burn energy throughout the day. When your daily habits are in sync with this rhythm, everything works in your favor. Eating your first meal within daylight hours and finishing dinner before sunset helps your body use nutrients rather than store them. Sleeping during the night allows for repair, detoxification, and the restoration of mitochondrial function. Even your gut bacteria follow this rhythm, digesting, fermenting, and supporting your immune system according to time cues from your body. When these natural cycles are respected, inflammation remains under control, insulin functions properly, and energy feels stable from morning to night. But modern life has made it increasingly difficult to maintain this balance. Artificial light, shift work, late night eating, and screen exposure all confuse the SCN. The brain receives mixed messages. Light signals say it's daytime, while the body feels it's night. As a result, the release of hormones like insulin, melatonin, and cortisol becomes erratic. Insulin, which should rise during the day to help process glucose and fall at night to allow fat burning, stays elevated. This constant insulin activity locks fat inside cells and prevents it from being used for energy. Cortisol, instead of peaking in the morning and tapering off at night, becomes disrupted either too high or too low at the wrong times, which promotes both fatigue and fat storage. Scientific studies now show that even small disruptions in circadian alignment can lead to profound metabolic consequences. People who eat late at night or work under artificial light until midnight develop higher blood sugar, increased inflammation, and slower fat oxidation compared to those who eat and sleep according to daylight hours. The mitochondria, which depend on rhythmic cycles of energy production and rest, become less efficient when the circadian rhythm is out of sync. They produce more reactive oxygen species, free radicals, and fewer ATP molecules. This creates cellular stress and inflammation, further impairing insulin sensitivity and driving weight gain, especially around the abdomen. The beauty of this system, however, is its adaptability. The circadian rhythm is self-correcting when given the right cues. The single most powerful reset signal is natural light. Stepping outside in the morning for even 10 minutes of direct sunlight signals your SCN to recalibrate your entire body clock. This one act resets cortisol timing, improves sleep quality that night, and enhances insulin sensitivity throughout the day. Aligning your first meal with daylight, ideally within a few hours of waking, further strengthens this rhythm. When you consistently eat, move, and rest in accordance with your internal clock, your mitochondria thrive, your inflammation levels drop, and fat metabolism accelerates naturally. The evidence is now overwhelming. The circadian rhythm is not merely a background process, it's the foundation of metabolic health. When it's disrupted, even the best diets and supplements can't compensate. But when you work with it, exposing yourself to morning sunlight, limiting artificial light at night, maintaining regular sleep, and eating in a defined daytime window, you create the conditions for your body to burn fat efficiently, stabilize hormones, and restore long lost energy. Each morning, a highly coordinated hormonal sequence takes place, a biological symphony that determines whether your body will burn fat efficiently or store it for later. At the center of this orchestration is cortisol, the hormone that has earned an unfair reputation as merely a stress hormone. In truth, cortisol is one of the body's most important metabolic regulators. Its natural early morning rise is essential for waking up, focusing the brain, and mobilizing stored energy to power your day. When this rhythm functions correctly, cortisol peaks within the first hour after waking, gently raises blood sugar from glycogen stores in the liver, and prepares your body to meet the day's demands. This natural cortisol rise should be followed by a steady taper through the afternoon and evening, allowing the body to rest, repair, and release melatonin for sleep. But modern life rarely respects this pattern. Late nights, erratic sleep, artificial light, and constant mental stress flatten the cortisol curve. Some people wake with cortisol levels too low, feeling groggy, sluggish, and unable to burn fat effectively. Others experience chronically elevated cortisol, which drives inflammation and signals the body to store fat, particularly around the abdomen. Both patterns are symptoms of a disrupted circadian rhythm. The body no longer knows when it's supposed to be in go mode or rest mode. Cortisol interacts closely with insulin, the hormone responsible for managing blood sugar. Under healthy conditions, cortisol's early morning spike helps release glucose into the bloodstream to provide energy before breakfast. But if you start your day with a high sugar meal, cereal, juice, pastries, or even sweetened coffee, insulin surges rapidly to bring down that glucose. Elevated insulin immediately shuts off fat burning because insulin's primary role is to promote energy storage. Instead of burning stored fat, your body now prioritizes storing more. And because insulin can remain elevated for several hours, your metabolism remains locked in storage mode long after that breakfast is gone. Contrast this with a breakfast built around protein and healthy fats, eggs, sardines, avocado, or nuts. These foods support a slow, steady rise in blood sugar and insulin, allowing cortisol to do its job effectively without pushing your body into stress. Stable insulin means that fat, burning hormones like glucagon and growth hormone, can remain active. You feel sustained energy, reduced cravings, and sharper focus because your cells are tapping into stored fat for fuel rather than depending on glucose spikes. When cortisol and insulin dance in balance, metabolism runs smoothly. Cortisol mobilizes energy in the morning, insulin processes nutrients from meals, and together they maintain an efficient cycle of energy release and storage. The problem begins when lifestyle habits disrupt this relationship. Late night eating raises insulin levels at a time when the body should be resting, preventing fat burning during sleep. Chronic stress, financial worries, and sleep deprivation keep cortisol high when it should be low, signaling the body that it's unsafe to burn fat, a survival mechanism rooted in ancient biology. Over time, this misalignment contributes to insulin resistance, inflammation, and the accumulation of visceral fat. Scientific studies support this link between hormonal timing and metabolic health. Research shows that people who consume the majority of their calories earlier in the day, when insulin sensitivity is highest, experience better fat loss and improved blood sugar control. Those who eat late at night, especially after 8 p.m., have higher levels of insulin and triglycerides the next morning, indicating impaired fat metabolism. Similarly, individuals who experience a healthy morning cortisol peak tend to have more energy, greater mental clarity, and lower levels of inflammatory markers such as CRP and IL-6. The key to restoring this hormonal balance lies in aligning your morning routine with your body's natural design. Get sunlight exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking. It signals the hypothalamus to release cortisol at the right time. Avoid caffeine until after you've been awake for at least an hour. This allows your natural cortisol rhythm to function without artificial stimulation. Prioritize protein and healthy fats at breakfast to keep insulin low and stable. And most importantly, protect your sleep window so cortisol can reset overnight. When you live in sync with these natural hormonal rhythms, something remarkable happens. Energy becomes effortless, hunger normalizes, and inflammation subsides. The body naturally shifts from storing fat to burning it. This is not achieved through willpower, calorie restriction, or stimulants, but by working with the elegant hormonal design that evolution built into us. The morning hormonal cascade is your daily opportunity to signal the body, today we burn fat. Every living organism on Earth has evolved under the rhythm of light and dark. Human biology is no exception. Our cells, hormones, and mitochondria all respond to light not just as something we see, but as information that programs our internal clock. Natural sunlight is the master signal that keeps our circadian rhythms synchronized. When the eyes receive that first light in the morning, photoreceptors in the retina send a direct message to the brain's master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, to say, the day has begun. This single event sets off a chain reaction that determines how efficiently we'll burn energy, how alert we'll feel, and how well our body will control inflammation for the rest of the day. Morning sunlight suppresses melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep, and simultaneously boosts serotonin and cortisol. This transition is critical. Melatonin's role is to promote rest and cellular repair at night, but once the sun rises, we need that hormone to shut down so that energy production can begin. Serotonin, released in response to natural light, supports mood, focus, and motivation, and later in the evening, the body converts serotonin back into melatonin to prepare for sleep. This daily rise and fall between serotonin and melatonin is one of the body's most elegant balancing acts. Cortisol, too, should rise sharply after waking, driven by light exposure. Far from being harmful, this natural cortisol spike is what helps the body mobilize stored fuel, stimulate mitochondrial activity, and prepare for metabolic work. But when we miss out on natural light, sleeping late, staying indoors, or checking screens instead, this delicate rhythm becomes confused. Artificial light from phones and computers does not contain the same spectrum as sunlight, especially the blue wavelengths that signal the SCN to start the day. As a result, melatonin remains elevated longer than it should, keeping the brain and mitochondria in a semi-resting state. You feel sluggish, mentally foggy, and unmotivated. Cortisol release becomes delayed, so instead of a strong morning pulse that fades by evening, you experience a flat or inverted pattern, low energy in the morning, alertness at night, and disrupted sleep. Over time, this mismatch contributes to mitochondrial dysfunction, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation, the perfect storm for weight gain and fatigue. The mitochondria, which are light, sensitive themselves, rely on circadian timing to optimize energy production. When you expose your eyes and skin to morning sunlight, photoreceptors signal the mitochondria to ramp up ATP generation. This not only powers your cells, but also stimulates thermogenesis, the process of burning stored fat to produce heat. Without this light cue, the mitochondria operate inefficiently, producing more free radicals and less usable energy. The result is cellular stress, increased oxidative damage, and impaired fat metabolism. Interestingly, studies have shown that people who get early daylight exposure, particularly within the first 2 hours of waking, have significantly lower body mass index (BMI) and better insulin sensitivity, independent of their diet or exercise. The timing of light exposure is more important than the total duration. Just 10 to 15 minutes of outdoor light between 7 and 9 a.m. can reset your internal clock, improve cortisol rhythm, and stabilize mood through serotonin production. Even on cloudy days, the intensity of natural daylight is hundreds of times greater than indoor lighting. Standing by a window is not enough. The glass filters the wavelengths that trigger circadian signaling. Stepping outside, ideally with some skin exposed, delivers the full spectrum your body needs to synchronize its internal clock. The metabolic benefits of this practice go far beyond energy levels. By re-establishing a strong light, dark rhythm, you also improve melatonin production that night. Better melatonin means deeper sleep, more efficient overnight fat burning, and reduced inflammation. The body begins to operate as it was designed, to active, alert, and metabolically efficient by day, restful and regenerative by night. Reclaiming this natural rhythm doesn't require complex interventions or expensive gadgets. It's as simple as opening your door and greeting the morning light. Within days, your body starts to recalibrate cortisol peaks earlier. Insulin sensitivity improves, mitochondria function more efficiently, and your overall energy stabilizes. The science is clear. Light is not just illumination, it's nutrition for your mitochondria and the master regulator of your metabolic health. Getting that early dose of sunlight is one of the simplest, most powerful habits you can adopt to switch your body back into a natural fat burning state. Most people don't realize that the first 30 minutes of their day can set off a biochemical chain reaction that determines whether they will burn fat smoothly or struggle with inflammation and cravings all day long. The body is highly sensitive upon waking. Hormones, blood sugar, and neurotransmitters are in a delicate transition from the repair-focused night phase to the active, energy-burning day phase. What you do or don't do in those first moments can either support that transition or completely derail it. One of the biggest modern inflammation triggers happens before we even get out of bed, checking screens. The moment you open your eyes and stare at your phone, blue light from the screen floods your retina, stimulating the brain's alertness centers before your natural circadian rhythm has fully awakened. This artificial light does not mimic the balanced wavelength of the sun. Instead, it triggers an abrupt cortisol surge, a stress response that raises blood sugar, tightens blood vessels, and elevates inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein. In addition, the flood of digital information messages, headlines, and social media activates the sympathetic nervous system. Your body interprets this as a threat, increasing adrenaline and reducing vagal tone, the very nerve activity that keeps inflammation in check. Within minutes, you've begun your day in fight or flight mode rather than calm, fat, burning balance. The next common mistake is caffeine on an empty stomach. Many people depend on coffee to wake up, but when consumed before eating or hydrating, caffeine amplifies the natural cortisol spike and raises circulating adrenaline. This combination creates a false sense of alertness while increasing oxidative stress in the mitochondria. Caffeine also causes a temporary spike in blood glucose and insulin, particularly if combined with sugar or milk. Over time, this morning pattern contributes to insulin resistance and adrenal fatigue. The solution is simple. Delay your coffee until after hydration and a balanced meal, so your body has nutrients and electrolytes to buffer its stimulating effects. When consumed wisely, caffeine can enhance metabolism. When consumed carelessly, it drives inflammation. Hydration is another overlooked pillar of morning health. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body is naturally dehydrated. Even mild dehydration thickens the blood, reduces oxygen transport, and impairs mitochondrial energy production. Cortisol and histamine levels also rise when hydration is low, further promoting inflammation. A glass or two of mineral, rich water upon waking flushes metabolic waste from overnight detoxification and signals the digestive system to awaken gently. Adding a pinch of sea salt or a squeeze of lemon restores electrolytes and supports the adrenal glands, preventing that mid-morning energy crash so many people experience. Breakfast choice is another critical determinant of morning inflammation. Ultra-processed foods, cereals, pastries, flavored yogurts, and breakfast bars may seem convenient but are metabolically disastrous. These foods flood the bloodstream with glucose, forcing the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin. High insulin not only shuts down fat burning, but also triggers pro-inflammatory cytokines. The combination of refined carbohydrates and industrial seed oils, commonly found in processed breakfast foods, amplifies oxidative stress in cell membranes and gut lining cells, making them more permeable and reactive. Over time, this contributes to leaky gut, systemic inflammation, and visceral fat accumulation. A protein and fat-based breakfast, by contrast, promotes steady blood sugar, calms the nervous system, and extends satiety for hours. Skipping breakfast altogether can also backfire if your circadian rhythm is already disrupted. For some people, intermittent fasting works beautifully when the body is metabolically flexible. But when cortisol is unstable or blood sugar regulation is poor, skipping breakfast can drive further stress hormone release. Instead of promoting fat burning, it leads to energy crashes, irritability, and cravings later in the day. It's important to earn your fasting window by first restoring circadian stability, getting light early, sleeping deeply, and balancing hormones. Only then does fasting become an anti-inflammatory tool rather than a metabolic stressor. Lastly, emotional stress upon waking, rushing, scrolling, or diving straight into emails floods the system with adrenaline and noradrenaline, hormones that prepare the body for emergency, not calm focus. This sympathetic overdrive reduces blood flow to the digestive tract, impairs thyroid conversion, and suppresses the immune system's anti-inflammatory pathways. Over time, this pattern leads to persistent low-grade inflammation that no supplement or diet can completely offset. Avoiding these common morning pitfalls is less about rigid rules and more about respecting biology. Start your day by grounding yourself in natural light, hydrating deeply, breathing slowly, and fueling with real food. These actions tell your nervous system, hormones, and mitochondria that the world is safe, no need for stress chemistry. The result is lower inflammation, stable energy, and a metabolism that prioritizes fat burning rather than storage. In the simplest terms, your morning routine is not just a lifestyle habit. It's a daily act of metabolic medicine. If you want your metabolism to work for you rather than against you, you must begin each day by aligning your biology with its natural design. The human body runs on signals: light, movement, nutrients, and rest. Every morning is an opportunity to send those signals clearly, so your cells know it's time to wake up, burn energy efficiently, and keep inflammation under control. A structured, science-based morning routine can reset these signals, optimizing hormones like cortisol and insulin while supporting mitochondrial function and fat burning. The first and most important step is early light exposure. As soon as possible after waking, go outside and let natural daylight hit your eyes and skin for at least 10 to 15 minutes. This is not just about mood, it's biological instruction. Natural light contains a full spectrum of wavelengths that activate photoreceptors in your eyes and send a direct signal to the hypothalamus, telling the brain that it's morning. This immediately suppresses melatonin, boosts serotonin, and sets cortisol on its correct curve, peaking early so it can taper gently throughout the day. Studies show that morning light exposure improves insulin sensitivity, sleep quality, and even weight regulation. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for restoring metabolic rhythm. After light, the next step is hydration. During the night, the body loses water through respiration and detoxification. Without rehydration, blood becomes slightly thicker, energy production slows, and inflammatory mediators rise. Start your day with a large glass of water, ideally filtered and remineralized. Adding a pinch of unrefined sea salt or electrolyte drops helps replenish sodium, magnesium, and potassium, which support adrenal function and nerve signaling. This small habit restores fluid balance, supports digestion, and prepares your mitochondria for efficient ATP production. Once you're hydrated, introduce gentle movement before eating. The aim here is not strenuous exercise, but circulation and oxygenation, a 10 to 20-minute walk, light stretching, or mobility work. Movement after waking enhances lymphatic flow, stimulates blood circulation to the brain and muscles, and activates fat-burning enzymes like lipoprotein lipase. Studies have shown that morning activity before breakfast increases the body's reliance on stored fat for energy, training mitochondria to become more efficient at using fatty acids as fuel. This gentle motion also stabilizes cortisol release, converting it from a stress signal into a metabolic advantage. Next comes nourishment, a high protein, low glycemic breakfast that communicates stability to your hormones. Protein provides amino acids that sustain neurotransmitter balance and prevent mid-morning crashes. It also promotes glucagon, a hormone that encourages fat release from storage. Combine protein with healthy fats, eggs cooked in butter or coconut oil, oily fish like sardines, avocado, or a handful of nuts. This nutrient combination keeps insulin levels steady and prevents post-meal inflammation. Avoiding refined carbohydrates in the morning protects the body's delicate insulin-cortisol balance. When insulin remains stable, fat-burning enzymes stay active, and energy feels consistent for hours. Caffeine, if you enjoy it, should come after your meal. Consuming coffee or tea on an empty stomach can exaggerate cortisol's effects, creating a spike followed by a mid-morning crash. When caffeine is taken after protein and fat, it provides alertness without strain on the adrenals or blood sugar system. If tolerated well, caffeine can even enhance fat metabolism, but only when the rest of the morning foundation is solid. Another powerful yet underappreciated practice is mindful breathing or a short stress reset ritual, even 5 minutes of slow nasal breathing or gratitude journaling signals the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state, to take charge. This lowers inflammatory cytokines, improves gut motility, and enhances insulin sensitivity. Chronic stress is one of the most potent disruptors of fat metabolism, and addressing it early in the day keeps the entire hormonal network more stable. Each of these actions, light exposure, hydration, movement, nourishment, and calm, works synergistically. Together, they set your biological tone for the day. When performed consistently, they reprogram your internal clock, retrain your mitochondria, and restore communication between your hormones and metabolism. You begin to notice subtle but powerful changes: steadier energy, sharper mental clarity, fewer cravings, and gradual fat loss without deprivation. What matters most is consistency. The body thrives on rhythm and predictability. A chaotic morning sends mixed messages to your cells, while a steady, well-structured routine builds metabolic trust. Think of these morning habits as medicine, small daily doses of balance that accumulate into long-term stability. When practiced over weeks and months, this routine can transform how your body handles energy, reducing inflammation and unlocking effortless fat burning. The beauty of it lies in its simplicity. No fancy supplements or extreme regimens, just alignment with how your body was designed to operate in partnership with light, movement, hydration, and nourishment. When you begin to live in alignment with your body's natural clock, the changes extend far beyond weight loss. You are restoring the very rhythm that governs every system in your biology, from your hormones to your mitochondria, from your immune system to your mental clarity. The circadian rhythm is not just a sleep-wake timer, it's the central regulator of human physiology. Every organ, every cell, and every gene has a timekeeping mechanism that depends on consistent signals from light, food, movement, and rest. When those signals are in sync, your body operates like a finely tuned orchestra. When they are out of sync, chaos follows, inflammation rises, energy production falters, and fat burning grinds to a halt. Resynchronizing your circadian rhythm reestablishes metabolic order. Morning light resets cortisol, which in turn coordinates thyroid function and adrenal output. The thyroid gland, which controls metabolic rate, depends on predictable cortisol and temperature cycles to convert thyroid hormone T4 into its active form, T3. When cortisol rhythm is flattened by stress or poor sleep, this conversion slows, leading to fatigue, sluggish metabolism, and cold intolerance. By simply restoring a healthy cortisol curve through early light exposure, regular sleep, and balanced meals, you allow the thyroid to resume efficient energy regulation. The adrenal glands, too, recover from chronic overstimulation when they are no longer forced to produce cortisol erratically. Over time, this results in steadier energy, improved stress tolerance, and a more robust fat burning capacity. One of the most profound benefits of circadian alignment is the reduction of systemic inflammation. When sleep, light, and eating times are irregular, inflammatory pathways such as NFB become chronically activated. The body perceives this internal disarray as stress, triggering cytokines that damage mitochondria and disrupt insulin sensitivity. But once the rhythm is restored, these pathways quiet down. The immune system shifts from defense to repair, inflammation subsides, and tissues regain their ability to heal. Clinical research now confirms that consistent circadian patterns lower markers like CRP and IL-6, improve endothelial function, and enhance the body's antioxidant defenses. The mitochondria, freed from oxidative overload, begin to produce clean energy, energy that fuels not just muscles, but also mental performance and mood. This is why people who adopt consistent morning routines often report more than just fat loss. They describe clearer thinking, calmer emotions, and sharper focus. That's because the brain's neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, are all regulated by circadian cues. When light, meals, and sleep are aligned, these chemicals cycle naturally, creating emotional stability and resilience. Even the gut microbiome, an essential regulator of inflammation and metabolism, depends on circadian consistency. The beneficial bacteria thrive when feeding and fasting windows are predictable, enhancing nutrient absorption and reducing endotox in leakage into the bloodstream. The result is a quieter, healthier gut that communicates stability to the brain and immune system. The beauty of this process lies in its simplicity and cumulative effect. You do not need extreme diets, supplements, or complicated biohacks to reclaim metabolic health. You only need to cooperate with the biology you already possess. Expose yourself to natural light in the morning, move gently before breakfast, hydrate deeply, eat real food at consistent times, and prioritize darkness and rest at night. Each small habit reinforces the others, creating a feedback loop of balance and efficiency. Within weeks, your body learns to trust the rhythm again. Cortisol peaks when it should, insulin sensitivity improves, and your mitochondria hum with energy. Fat loss, in this context, is not forced but natural, a reflection of restored cellular communication and reduced inflammation. Consider this your prescription for metabolic renewal. Commit to 30 days of circadian alignment. Wake with the light, eat in daylight, and sleep in darkness. Give your body the information it's been craving. You'll notice subtle changes: first steadier energy, better digestion, improved mood. Then, as your metabolism recalibrates, fat begins to shift from storage to fuel. The fog lifts, inflammation quiets, and vitality returns. These are not superficial effects, but the signs of deep physiological healing. When you honor your body's internal clock, you give every system permission to function as intended, effortlessly, rhythmically, and in harmony with nature. Commit for 1 month and let your own body show you what true metabolic balance feels like.